Okay, talk I'm doing today is called Freeware. 4 years of good games for the zero budget gamer. Probably start with introductions. I'm Stephen Stefan Brown, FCCA. The wider world knows me mostly as an accountant and a performance poet. The main reason I'm presenting here is because I am the freeware coordinator for AdventureGamers.com. What does being freeware coordinator for AdventureGamers.com involve? Well, basically, it involves writing a monthly article called Following Freeware, in which I scour the net to find the best freeware games out there, freeware adventure games out there, and present them to the adventure gaming audience. The first article was 29th of September 2010, covered releases in August 2010. Since that article, there have been 411 detailed write-ups. When I first started putting this talk together, it was only 404. When I mentioned this to a friend of mine, who will remain nameless, but he's sat right over there, he said, 404? No wonder I can't find any of them. Hey! But alas, a new article's been published since then, so 411. In addition, at the end of the articles, we do a section called Other Games, single lines for games that aren't necessarily full adventures, or maybe they're a bit short, maybe not quality, but still worth the notice. There's 265 of those. So, total number of games covered, 676, trust me on that, I'm an accountant. So, over the course of 4 years, I've played 676 games. And of course I haven't, because I've only presented the best games. And I've played a load of crap in order to get down to the games that get into the articles. So, 676 games. I worked out if I spent a minute on each game, we should be finished by midnight. Apparently I can't have a slot that long. If I simply list the titles of the game, I will actually run out of time. So instead what I've done is, if I've selected a bunch of games that, for various reasons, appeal to me, I know we've got a lot of freeware developers in the audience today, so I'd just like to reassure you, if it appeared in the article, I liked it, it not appearing in this presentation means nothing. So, as I say, we have a very short space of time, so let's get started. Journey Down. Everyone remember the Journey Down freeware? Very first game I covered with freeware. A couple of months later, I went to commercial. Thanks, guys. Snakes Around. This actually appeared in the second article. These actually all appear in the order that they were in the article. Here we see our hero in a typical adventure game starting scene. He's in the bar, preparing to start out on his great quest. And of course I do mean this guy down here. This is a game set in, shall we say, an alcoholic fantasy. You talk to the moose head up on the wall. You have an eel in your pocket that eats your wallet. It's a very strange experience, but beautifully written. Obviously, Adventure Gamers fan, you've got your LucasArts trophy up there on the shelf. And then we've got Eel Hardy. Absolutely, part one. I shall be coming back to that for reasons that will become obvious later. Techno Babylon. If you go to the demo room next door, immediately after I finish my talk, you will be able to see a demo on Techno Babylon, which will look a lot better than this one. Because this is the original freeware release of episode 1 back in October 2010. There have overall been 3 freeware episodes, and those 3 freeware episodes, there were lots of hints of a bigger story and a greater world that was being constructed that would all be revealed in later episodes. And I had the opportunity to speak to James Tetrack last night, and apparently he was making stuff up as he went along and had no idea where the story was going. Now he has Dave Gilbert reining that in a little bit. Yeah, he's just sat over there. Reining that in a little bit. The graphics are significantly upgraded. I sometimes say I'm a bit peeved, or I won't be able to see these wonderful games anymore because they're not freeware artists. In fact, and you'll see this a lot, I am actually really happy when good freeware developers manage to go commercial. You'll be seeing a lot more of that later. Trade of Stories. This was actually the third in the series. The previous 2 instalments predated the articles. One of the things I really love about this is the art style. The watercolour art style is lovely. But the other thing that appealed is it's actually quite a mundane tale. This character here is the Trader of Stories. and essentially she is a storyteller that goes around trading her storytelling knowledge for goods and services. In this case, the wheel on her cart is broken, which you can see down the bottom here. And in order to get it fixed and move on, the local people have asked her to put together the story of an old legend of the area. And that right-hand page there fills out as you find bits and pieces, and when you've got a complete picture, you have the complete tale. One Chance. Not prettiest of games, indeed not most complex of games. The thing about One Chance is it used a permanent cookie system so that when you reloaded it, it reloaded at the point you got to. This is a scene very early in the game where you have successfully achieved a wonderful medical breakthrough, which will kill the planet in 7 days. So the game plays out over those 7 days, and in those 7 days you essentially work between the options of spending the last days on the planet with your family, or spending as much time as possible in the lab trying to find a cure for the disease that you've created. And at the start you have no way of knowing whether that's possible. But as I say, it reloads where you've got to. If you get to the ending where all the world has died, that is your ending. You only have one chance, unless you get cookies, which would be terrible. Entertainment, I mean, as one of those obvious ideas, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven would make a perfect zombie adventure game. This is the opening, and every action, and I do mean every action that you take in the game has a verse written in the style of The Raven for it. In fact, even the inventory items have little rhyming couplets. And indeed, the whole game is in fact also voiced.
The norm, optimistic that you are, but alas, it was my sweet Lenore, requesting brains as pay for zombie.
Excellent game, absolutely deranged, but it's still up. I recommend playing it. This is one, not the British games. This is actually due, the ultimate question in this game is to put a frame on the barrel. Why such a random quest? Because this game, plot, was made with the Silly Story Maker, a program that randomly creates an ultimate quest and then a load of tasks you have to do in order to get to it. So Dave, if you ever start a story, I can tell you where to download this. As you may guess, it creates random names as well. So, yeah, forget all that plot writing stuff. This is the answer. So notice the result. There's a repeated competition, all the AGS people will know that, called One Room, 1 Week. This is a 1 room, 1 week game. And I'm always astonished what people can produce in a week. But the 1 room constraint often seems contrived. People don't leave the room because that's the requirement of the game. In this one, this gentleman who's a janitor on a luxury underwater resort, a piece of corridor has broken off. He is trapped inside, and it operates in real time. If you just sit around and do nothing, the corridor will fill up with water and you will die. If you try to get out, the chances are you will still die. In all honesty, I never actually managed to get out of this one alive. I'm told it is possible. But because you're actually working in the broken off bit of corridor, the whole 1 room constraint actually works in the world. It doesn't feel artificial. Then nothing happened. How's that everybody's heard of? Reality on the Norm. Yeah. Reality on the Norm is a shared world. Essentially, if you wanted to create it, it's an AGS game, but if you want to create it, there are a huge number of assets ready-made that you can just download. So you don't have to create locations, characters, anything. As a result, a lot of games have been made in it. As a result, the story of Reality on the Norm is a little bit bizarre. There is a complete timeline on the Reality on the Norm site, which makes interesting reading. Murderous chickens, chicken apocalypses. The gentleman in the middle is Mayor, who, as you may notice, is a zombie. But this gentleman over here is Death. Death is the zombie mayor's assistant. How on earth could Death become the assistant to a zombie mayor? Well, for that, you'd really need to ask the person who made the Repossessor, then first-time developer, Dave Gilbert.
My first game.
Your first game. There's educational stuff out there. This is a series of games. This is back to the first one, so it's around the time of the Boston Tea Party. There's one built around slavery, as well, and a third one called the Che Eldersea, built around the time of the Wild West and the Indians in Britain. I mean, despite the educational tone, the people who put this together, they really thought about making it a game first, an educational second. And even better, from my point of view speaking as an English person, they haven't tried to paint the Americans, the cowboys, the slaves. Nobody comes out in a good light. It's all very even-handed. Yeah. I do think the inclusion of Penny Whistle Hero as an optional game in this, maybe not so great, but the educational content, that's great. They're freely available, download, and online. Sissy Magical Pony Form Adventure. Those graphics look like they've been drawn by a 5-year-old. And as for the voiceover, well...
Hi, my name's Sissy, and I freaking love ponycorn. They're the best thing in the world because they're like pony and unicorns. That's ponycorn! I don't have any ponycorns right now, so I'm gonna go get some.
This game was made for Toe Jam, which is a 48-hour games jam over in Toronto. The graphics, the voice, indeed I suspect the majority of the plots involving an evil Levin and a dinosaur that gets transformed into a squirrel were written by a 5-year-old. Her real name is actually Cassie, and her father obviously doing the programming. So I expect to see a game by Eve Gilbert any day now.
Eve will make one when she's 3.
Adventure, all in the game. Does this scene look familiar to anybody? Does the background scene look familiar to some characters?
No,
What about this one? Does this scene look familiar to anybody? I mean, technically it shouldn't. It's deleted content from Toonstruck. Okay, maybe we'll try something a bit more retro. How about this one? Anyone?
Space Quest.
Space Quest, yay!
Fine.
Adventure, all in the game, is all about a secret agency whose job is to stop game characters generally. This person's actually in the adventure games division, this is the agency, for messing up other games. And there is a huge amount of games content here. There is really obscure stuff in here. If you like, there's an option in the menu that will tell you where everything comes from, and if you've heard all of them, but this is a sequel as well. The first one predates the game. They're both excellent. Another game. I think, why did no one do this before? A zombie cheerleader baking a cake. This was a Mags game. It's another AGS competition. This time you're given a month to create, and you're not limited to one room. The theme was Second Chance. This included music by our own beloved Mark Lovegrove. It's a very silly comedy, but it's actually got a bit of a feel-good patch to it as well. Scene design. Right, this gentleman here is Henry Stickmin. Henry Stickmin is a criminal of sorts. He's previously robbed a bank, he's previously escaped from a prison. He was later recruited to infiltrate the airship of another criminal gang. And the main thing that fits through all of Henry's adventures is he fails. A lot. In this game alone, there are 40 unique ways of failing, including being nuked by the military because you become a giant, being swamped by head crabs, being held up by the guards, and floating off into space because you've got a faulty anti-gravity helmet. It is the one series of games where failing is actually something you look to do. So this one's actually been around for years. I actually cheated getting this one in because they put in a new character. This crow, who actually thinks they are psychiatrists, that is their mental illness. This has you psychoanalyzing cuddly toys. And the people that have written this, they really thought about how people actually do treat cuddly toys. and all of their mental conditions, a lot of which you explore through dream state and hypnosis, they're very plausible. And if you really feel bad about these poor suffering patients afterwards, you can buy a couple of versions of them from the store on the side. So the game is free, but you may end up paying after playing it. Calculator 2. But does everyone remember Calculator 1?
Yeah.
No, because it doesn't exist. This game was made by a collection of 39, I believe, AGS developers working together. I'm not surprised it hasn't been done again. 39 developers all working together sounds like a nightmare. Sound like a nightmare? Yeah. But it is a very fun humorous game. There's a lot of humorous acting in it. The lead character is a military man who, having been bitten by vampires, is turned into a vampire cyborg by the military who want to use him as a weapon. It is an fairly short, given 39 people developed it. Very, very funny. Visitor. Dave, I've mentioned this before. Dave Gilbert has recently taken on my habit of hiring all the best freeware developers. If you're looking to hire another good freeware developer, I'd say this guy is probably worth having a look at. This was his first game, and it is, for the first game, it's an incredible piece of work. You play two characters. You play this, an alien who, about 5 minutes after this sea crash lands on the planet, and you play this human. And you have chapters alternating. But it's got one of the things like scripted events. The human is down in the basement, and his dog starts barking, and he turns to the dog to talk to it. You know, why are you barking? Why are you barking? And the alien walks past the window in the background. I mean, about the only problem with it is the map was a bit sprawling. He went on to make a sequel, which has a variety of characters as well. This time you were able to switch between them. By accident, I may have to start skipping along here because my number at the top here says there's another 9 games that I want to cover, so we haven't got to yet. So, that one I'll just skip past. It's a little bit sad. This is 2011, 4th episode of Silver Lining came out. The 5th episode has yet to appear. There is a rumour that if someone is willing to finish it, they think online are willing to let me have the assets to do it. I don't know if that's true. It is just a rumour. I'd love to think someone will finish it one day. Quasar, a good game that I shall skip past because it's on 4. This one's in there, this is Ben Chandler, one room, 1 week. And the reason this one's in there is because at the time, the AGS, the Adventure Games database, you had to put things into the letter of the alphabet. We had a section of the database for each letter of the alphabet, and a section for numbers. Thanks, Ben. Next question, games aren't just for kids. This is a man who, having tried to fix his PlayStation with a fork, ends up in hospital, falls in love with the nurse, and then has a variety of ill-advised activities in order to get back into hospital so he can meet the nurse again, but in a way that will make her love him. And the one thing I really love about this is this takes you to a walkthrough, and the walkthrough is written in the style of the character, talking about their wonderful adventures. Masked. I don't like escape the room games, good escape the room game, but it's not all fun and games. This is a rather depressing game from the Ukraine about domestic abuse and child endangerment. If you do play it, don't expect a happy ending. Wait, honest, this is one of the ones I particularly want to cover. Now, I've got the wrong location on there, so give me a minute. Yeah, that's the location I want. As you'll see, just below the cursor over on the right-hand side, there's a hatchway. You don't want to go through that because that is currently being attacked by monsters that want to tear you into little bits. You want to get through this door over here. But there's this big vending machine in the way. So obviously you need to pick up all the coins to get stuff out of the vending machine so you can move. And as you it's all played in the dark. It's a horror game. And they've created quite large hotspots, so the coins are relatively easy to find. But even so, sweeping the screen, it feels very much like scrabbling around in the dark. And you can play it in easy or hard mode. If you play it in easy mode, you can take however long you like. If you play it in hard mode, sooner or later those things will come through the hatch and kill you. Ben Jordan! Everyone's heard of Ben Jordan. I don't need to cover that. Where is he anyway? This one's in here. not necessarily a particularly brilliant game, but it's a game made using hyperlinks in YouTube videos, including ones that allow you to put in a 4-digit key code by having the hyperlinks lead to different points in the video, so that if you put in the right 4 numbers, the hyperlink of the last number takes you to the next video. So it's an incredibly complicated piece of programming. I say not necessarily the best of games, but on the technical front. So I should skip off panel. If you've seen Astro Locos, it's not sensible that did that. It's pretty silly. Express, this is a real one. This is a pair of games that were in support of a Kickstarter that was inspired by another game. Kickstarter Space Venture, which is one of those Space Quest games. This is the second game in which you are dealing with the problem of your cat. Oh, sorry, in case you weren't sure, this isn't Ken Williams in the middle here. Your cat, Vogel, has gone back in time to impersonate Ken Williams to prevent Space Quest ever having been made. Wonderful, convincing disguise there, I'm sure. Old Man and the Sea, Owen Shannon Way book, not the most promising thing for a game, but there. Troll Song is on presentation here, from stage. Ever think that you don't have enough time to play a game? 400 years?
Yeah.
400 years game time long enough? Only just. Given you have to wait for things like water to freeze over so you can walk across it, trees to grow so you can climb up it, and at one point for civilization to rise up to the point where it will build a bridge across somewhere you can't get across. If you've ever wondered if there's a team of supervillains out to irritate you, yes there are. They're the quite annoying league. They feature such people as Wrong Seat Woman. There's annoying stereo girl, inane chat man. It's very silly but very nicely encapsulated. Last of all, the interesting thing about this is partly the way it's funded. They've got a Kickstarter. If you donate to the Kickstarter, you get the episodes the minute they finish them. If you don't, you have to wait about 3 or 4 months. So if you're willing to wait, you can get the games for free. And yet they keep on getting money. They keep on getting money and they keep on getting the funding to create new games. It's an excellent horror game, and I think the pixelated look actually enhances the horror in it. Right, I'm going to have to skip over that one. I do quite like it, but there's a couple more I'm really keen to get on to. Ocean Spirit Dennis. Ocean Spirit Dennis is a spoof Final Fantasy character. Not everybody has got the joke in this, I think. A lot of people try to make serious games about it. This is a less serious game, in which life partner Ken tries to... What?
Ray. Life partner Ray.
Ray! Ah!
I'm the one
I knew there was something I didn't have in the notes here. Life partner Ray tries to locate the legendary hero, Ocean Spirit Dennis, and has to do various chores for the people around town in order to get the skills to beat the guardian to the next village where Dennis is supposed to be. Anyone who was here last night saw the release of the Wajitai Mystery Game Shard Light. Should recognise the graphics on the right there. So, past that one. If Phoenix Wright was a philosopher rather than an attorney, he'd be playing in this. It is very much like the cross-examination in the Phoenix Wright games, only obviously you shout nonsense instead of objection. I'm sure you all recognise Euthyphro of Athens over there on the side. You actually debate against a number of famous philosophers from history. Immanuel Kant is in there. I should have been more than down, but that's it. Told you I'd come back to that. So this is 3 years down the line. The original one was just a freeware, was just a sort of demo. This is the full first episode. I don't know if he's here today. He was here yesterday presenting episode 2, which I believe he's going to go commercial. Follows on from this. I don't know if he's going to bundle this with it. Download this before he sees sense and starts charging for it. This is a Quest for Glory tribute game. That is a new Quest for Glory game in size and complexity and I'll be honest, it's even better than the question before you. Download this before he sees sense and decides to charge you for it. It's a good idea. Okay, that one we shall be past. We've only got a few minutes left. This is a bit of a meta game. Freya is this character here. She was, when she was young, a big fan of on the last page, the Raven series of games. She joins the studio that makes the games, and then the action sort of flips in and out between the game world and the real world, and it's a bit hard to tell what reality is anymore. In fact, the other three people here are the programmer, the artist, and the CEO. All of whom can help you with their programming knowledge and CEO knowledge in a fantasy world. It's usual, the classic tale of a damsel going out to help a knight in distress who's been kidnapped by a dragon. Dreaming there. Dreaming. The lovely tale of a little girl living in a pink and fluffy dream world with a penguin librarian friend. And it's actually about child abuse. You can actually play through the entire game and not see this or the worst scenes that go beyond it. And all you'll get is just a vague, there's feelings that some things are a bit off. But you dig behind, you find the clues. This is a brilliantly put together but profoundly disturbing game. So, if you've seen the original graphics, you thought, this would be a great one for the kids. No! This is not a great one for the kids. Brilliant, but horrible. This is the last one I actually wanted to cover. It's just because I personally love the principle. Roomba vacuum cleaner. Roomba vacuum cleaner, it's thrown away. And it wakes up on the scrap heap, and it doesn't know it's been thrown away. It just knows it's off the map that it knows. But it's got to get back because it's got shots in it, it's got cleans in it. So you control this Roomba vacuum cleaner working its way back across town. The reason why you can't see the whole area here is because you actually have to scan. The vacuum cleaner is also light powered, so at the moment it's fully powered because it's stood next to a lamp. But in the later sections where night has fallen, you have to work out how to get to the next area of light to keep it charged. And objects, like this is a person, this is a bench, you can scan and identify. It's just such a beautiful little idea. Not the most complex game out there, but I'm just fond of it. And we are coming up to 1 o'clock, so I should probably just tip through the last one. Horror game, as you may guess by these. A game in which you attempt to fix the ship. Radiation is looking good at the moment. The next thing you do will make it look bad, but it'll make your oxygen situation look better. And finally, a text adventure in which you, as the wicked fairy godmother, have to try and entice Snow White into eating poison apple. So, final notes. If you want to read the Common Freeware articles, they're all on AdventureGames.com. The entire back history is there. Because of the nature of freeware games, some of the links to the games will be broken now. I do always intend to, at some point, go back and fix particularly the AGS ones, because the AGS site moved. But definitely all the recent ones will still be available. A lot of the old ones still are as well. If you mentioned the performance poetry at the beginning, intrigued you, then just look for Step Hand the Poet on Facebook. I don't update it very often, but you put videos, poems on there. If you mentioned accountancy excited you, or strange people, I do have business cards with me, so see me afterwards. Now there's nothing on in this room after this, but next door is the demo for Techno Babylon, so you can see how the graphics are updated, and James Dearden is one of the presenters. In the main forum, Francisco is leading a panel on how the trend for going retro is maybe not as good a thing for games as it could be. I'm actually planning to hang around here, so if any of those two wonderful things don't appeal to, anybody that those two wonderful things don't appeal to can stay here, and I can go through a few more bits and pieces on the freeware. Well, happy games.